Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're watching, what time it is. This is Tom Connors, and you're listening to Midnight's Edge After Dark Live. I'm running solo today, but we do have some big news to get through, so I'm going to get right to it. And I may even take some time to take some questions after I'm done going through the news. Of course, the big news right off the bat. Wow, interesting turn of events here at DC. Well, not real interesting. We kind of seen it coming in a way. But Geoff Johns has announced that he is stepping down from DC Entertainment. So let's get right into that. Geoff Johns, the longtime creative officer at DC Entertainment, is stepping down. According to reports, that is. He will move into Warner Brothers' first look producing deal, where he will write movie vehicles to produce for Mad Ghost Productions. John will continue to work on existing DC films. The studio just announced that DC Entertainment publisher Jim Lee will expand his role to include the Chief Creative Officer title and responsibilities, and will continue to act as publisher together with Dan Didio, as they have since 2010. Thomas Gawecki, Chief Digital Officer and Executive Vice President, Strategy and Business Development, who is serving as DC's interim head. This is also following Diane Nelson's announcement that she will retire following a months-long sabbatical. Johns and Nelson clashed loudly, according to sources. This is not remotely surprising. We kind of figured this was going to happen, especially with Diane Nelson when she kind of just took off, and we knew there was going to be some big shifts over at DC with the way things were going, so not surprised in the least. Jim Lee is an interesting situation, though. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to handle this job. He doesn't really have the experience, but I mean, I guess Geoff Johns really didn't have all that much experience either when he got started, so maybe that's part of the problem. Of course, DC wanted, Warner Brothers and DC, that is, wanted Geoff Johns to be basically their Kevin Feige. We all knew that. That's not really news. But this is just another step towards what is going to be next. And it sounds to me like, with everything going on and what we've talked about in the last few days with the news going on over at Warner Brothers and DC, is they are just completely clueless. They have no idea what they're doing, I think. With two separate things going on when it comes to two different Joker movies, with two separate universes, and continuing the DCEU as is, plus having this offshoot, makes absolutely no sense to me. Of course, DC's had a lot more luck on television. This, though, like I said, not really surprising. I wonder what you guys kind of think about it. I'm sure you guys aren't that surprised either. Just with the way things have gone with the last few movies, who didn't expect this, basically? So, not really big news, but it is. I'm not sure how long it'll take for this to take effect. There wasn't exactly a stated date within the news as to when he was exactly stepping down, unless it meant immediately. But it also said he's going to be involved with DC still, and that's because Toby Emmerich really likes him as a writer, evidently, and wants him to continue to write on the DC projects, I'm sure, and oversee a lot of that stuff. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know. I am not even that interested anymore in DC unless they try something different at this point. How do you guys feel about it? Are you guys feel the same way about that? Yeah. Will Griffin. Huh, yeah, the DCEU. Yeah, that's right. But let's move on with some more news. This is actually some really shitty news. For the last few months, it's been there's been this lawsuit going on with the Friday the 13th films, and we actually covered it a little bit on the main channel in a video, which when this stream is done, I'll post the link down below in the description. But Victor Miller, the man who wrote on the first film, has been trying to gain the rights back to the franchise through the 30 or 35 year law, whatever it is, that an original writer can get his copyright back on a project that he worked on if he was the sole creator, in such a way like, for instance, James Cameron recently did with the Terminator franchise. Well, there was a development recently in this story, and that's why Victor Miller has been able to gain back, or he hasn't gained back control yet, but it's starting to look more likely that he will gain control back of at least the first film's rights, in a sense that he can claim rights to those characters, but the muddy area then would be adult Jason, since that character wasn't technically created until the second film, so that is under scrutiny, I'm sure. But what this does now, though, is put a damper on the latest game from IllFonic and Gun Media, which is a great game. The Friday the 13th game is what it's most obviously called. The series itself is in limbo right now, but according to Bloody Disgusting, with a pressing legal issue preventing any new films from being made. To make a long story short, as covered previously in the video, as I mentioned, Victor Miller is the original film scriptwriter, and he claims that he wasn't an employee when he wrote the movie, and thus is looking to terminate a grant of rights and reclaim ownership of the property. Essentially, Miller's lawsuit leaves the future of the franchise hanging in the balance, and whether or not he will win the case will determine what happens with the series. For now, it lies dormant, even though Warner Brothers had announced they were planning on going forward with the film. I believe it was earlier this year, just a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I think I mentioned in that's very unlikely at this point. Friday the 13th, the game was established. Sorry, I jumped ahead here. My bad. Sadly, while the legal issues hadn't been a problem for the Friday the 13th game up to this point, in fact, Sean Cunningham himself was a huge proponent of the game and helped them out as much as possible. We've just learned that the game's future is now uncertain, and here's the full email from Gun Media that came out today. Friday the 13th, the game has established a loyal and excited fan base over the last year, as publisher, developer Gun and IllFonic had made every effort to provide our fans with an authentic, great gaming experience. As many in our community may be aware, a legal claim has been made which could affect the future of all Friday the 13th intellectual property. Although in the past the game has not been subject to any such claim, new content and material going forward will be affected. An initial decision in the case was expected in October 2017, which is when we did the video, but no decision has yet been issued. The court review of the legal rights is in process, but final resolution may take some time. Until the claim rights can be dismissed or resolved, no new content can be released. When we originally learned that the game fell within the crosshairs of the legal dispute, we tried to balance the creation of new content requested by our fans against the maintenance and bug fixing that our community expects and deserves. We attempted to both within limits of the legal case. We attempted to do both, within the limits of the legal case. We've now been forced to accept the lawsuit makes future content for the game, including alternate play modes, new playable Jasons and counselors, and new maps, unfeasible for now or in the future. Although the listed content types will be affected, we remain committed to launching in dedicated servers on our console platforms and providing the continued maintenance and bug fixing important to support our fan base. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form a legal expert of any kind, but I feel that a lot of what the game has done so far should fall into that legal muddy area that it was all put together before the case was brought. So I would think they should be able to get grandfathered in with a lot of stuff. But I understand where they're coming from as far as they probably got a cease and desist letter from Victor Miller's people, most likely, saying that they cannot add anything to the game. And hopefully at this time this won't affect it much further down the road until everything's sorted out. But yeah, it's kind of concerning in a way that the game players who've been so invested in this, especially those who have helped on, I believe it was a Kickstarter campaign they started originally. Yeah, that's just, it's really sad that this has come to this point, but we'll have to see how it goes going forward. Geno X 1987, we still haven't gotten a complete Friday the 13th box set. Well, we technically did a couple years back from Warner Brothers had licensed the original movies from Paramount, and they did all of them up through Jason X, I believe. The only thing it didn't have in it was Freddy versus Jason, I guess, if you want to get technical in the remake. But it was a pretty solid box set. Unfortunately, at the time, it was pretty pricey, and I wasn't able to get it, and now it's even pricier. But Paramount did just release the first 8 films in a box set as well. But yeah, the rights are up in all kinds of different places. Warner Brothers technically just got the rights back because they had done a deal a little while back that had to do with South Park and a few other things, like I believe it was Interstellar. And to get the rights worked out between that, they'd worked out a deal with the Friday the 13th rights, which they were a mess to begin with, which check out that video. It gets into a lot of it to save time here to where I don't have to get into it, because we do have another story to get to real quick before I can get to some viewer questions real fast. Looney Tunes are coming back. They're getting a short form revival at Warner Brothers Animation. Warner Brothers Animation is creating a new series of short-form cartoons based on the studio's iconic Looney Tunes cartoons franchise, featuring the likes of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and the gang that will hearken to the original Looney Tunes theatrical shorts. The studio said today multiple artists will produce 1 to 6 minute shorts written and drawn by the cartoonists, allowing their own personalities and style to come through. The plan is to produce 1,000 minutes each season, with the content to be distributed across multiple platforms, including digital, mobile, and broadcast. Boy, this sounds like it's being set up for the AT&T merger. But anyway, the Looney Tunes are one of the most beloved group of animated characters in the world, said Sam Register, president of Warner Brothers Animation and Warner Digital Series. And the Warner Digital Series. Looney Tunes Cartoons places these characters into the hands of some of the best artists in the business and into animated shorts form that will remind many of the time when they first fell in love with Bugs, Daffy, Porky, and the rest of the gang. The series will be produced by Warner Brothers Animation and feature veteran Looney Tunes voice cast members, including Erica Baza, Jeff Bergman, Bob Bergen, Register, and Peter Braungart, our executive producers. So it sounds interesting. I'm, of course, a huge Looney Tunes fan as far as the original shorts go that ran, I think, from the 30s through the 50s, if I'm not mistaken, in theaters. And, of course, most of us became aware of them through, like, the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show or whatever it was that they were, Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show, whatever they would have on Saturday mornings that they would compile them on, of course. I'm kind of looking forward to this. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, if they get a little too modern with it, I might not be into it, but yeah. So, what do you guys think about this and all the other news we talked about? Let me know, of course, in the comments down below. But now we're going to take some questions here. So go ahead and pop up your questions, and I'll try and get in as many as I can here within the next 15 or 20 minutes or so. And as far as the DC Geoff Johns news, you know we're going to have a lot more to say about that. I just wanted to make sure we jumped on the news right away so you guys were aware of what was kind of going down. But, of course, you can be rest assured, I'm sure Andre will have a few things to say about that, as well as Rob and I down the road as it gets going and we hear more and more. Let's see here. Do we got some questions yet? Well, I hope, Michael Miller, I hope you're wrong that they're not going to Thundercat the Looney Tunes. They already tried to do that, didn't they? So yeah, I hope they don't. Do you think Michael Miller asked? Do you think Red changed their name as they were to be confused for RedTube? I hadn't heard that they did change their name. This is the first time I've heard about it, but I wouldn't be surprised because I mean, even in the past when we've done videos, I've accidentally called it RedTube just out of habit, I guess. But that doesn't have anything to do with my porn habits because I really don't use that channel or page anyway, so not that you guys wanted to know. So I'm probably late on asking this, but thoughts on the Halloween trailer? No, Draven G, you're not late. I haven't really been able to give my thoughts on it yet. I kind of planned on doing a short video like the normal videos we normally do here in After Dark with Jeffrey Thompson, the filmmaker who I talked about a few things about it a couple weeks back to get his feelings on it, so I might do a little bit more on it. But it looks interesting. I'm not sure what to think at this point, but I'll get into that a little bit more in that video, I'm sure. Snag Prophet asks, is the Kelly Marie Tran thing a smokescreen to deflect from Solo's performance? There are some people who believe so. I'm kind of inclined to believe that may be a possibility, that there was something to it, because if it was really going to be, if she was really going to delete it, why didn't she delete it back when it was a bigger problem, like when the movie came out? And just like yesterday, Ryan Johnson announced on his Twitter that he was starting to block the assholes. So yeah. And YouTube Premiere is what it's called now. Michael Miller says, oh, okay, interesting. I know they jacked up their price a little bit too, so Nick W asks, what is the likelihood of the AT&T Time Warner losing tomorrow's antitrust suit? Frankly, right now, with everything going on, I don't want to get in too many politics involved, but I have a feeling they might just squeak by with this one. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that that it might go through, because of a lot of the other politics behind it, and considering Michael Miller, do you go with this? Do you think John's firing was a golden parachute as the AT&T's decision gets announced tomorrow? It could be. I'm sure it's the timing is ironic. That's for sure. That's definitely for sure. Gosh, I know they're confident it's probably going to go through, and with a lot of, like I said, the political issues that have come to light behind the scenes regarding it and affecting it, it's probably something that's going to go through. And if it goes through, then the Fox-Disney merger is going to have less issues too, as long as Comcast doesn't screw that up. Yeah, Michael Miller just said the same thing. But if it doesn't go through, yeah, that's a good possibility too, because the thing is, they'll probably use the Comcast deal as an example of why it should go through, which I'm sure they have. But yeah, any more questions real quick before we head out for this live stream? Fuck you, Victor Miller. Yeah, ZZ Clutch, that's true. It sucks because, yeah, the guy did kind of create the whole thing, but at the same time, you know, it was kind of a joint effort, I think. Christian Garcia, I'm late, but not sure if you guys talked about the rumor of Matt Reeves' Batman trilogy being reboot without Ben Affleck. I remember hearing something like that a long time ago. But then all of a sudden now Ben Affleck's out in the news trying to boost himself up as being interested in Batman again. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything recently. Gino X 1987, do you think Disney would ever consider time travel, retcons, resets to fix Star Wars down the road after the new movies? No, I doubt it. I just don't see... Yeah, I don't see them retconning anything necessarily. They may find a way to work with it, but I doubt I see them retconning. Just like with Andre's latest editorial, I don't think they're going to cancel episode 9. That's what he says that they should do, but I don't think they ever would either. No. I wish I could have got Lord Doomcock on. I tried to get a hold of somebody to help me out with the show, but again, I'm by myself today. Even Andre was in transit and couldn't help me as well. No new Spawn news outside of the casting. Uh, John Riker, what will Legendary do with the Dune stuff? I'm not sure. I know they talked to. I think the latest talk was he wanted to do multiple movies, but I know a lot of that's still up in the air. I know there was a little interest in it though. Um, it sounds Anthony Alberti. See, I got to remember to read these before I start answering them. Affleck might be able to make a good Batman movie if WB keeps Snyder away from the DCU, focus on Wonder Woman, grow from there, and they could fix it. That's a good plausibility. At this point, I think it's beyond fixing to a point. It might not be, but in the recent reports about Geoff Johns, they do mention that some people were not too happy with how Snyder handled the DC universe, and they relied on him a little too much. Yeah. That's pretty much all you can say about that. Oliver Smith asks, do you think they'll delay episode 9? Not as of right now. It doesn't sound like it. I don't think they will. Because where are they going to move it to outside of a year out? Which I highly doubt they'll move it out an entire year. They're definitely not going to put it in the summer. There's no way they're going to push it into the summer now. So yeah, I think episode 9 is going to continue and go without a hitch. And basically at this point, all it has to do is be better than not bad. Michael Miller says, should they re-look at the rating system of PG-13 and R-rated movies for mild audiences around 15-ish? That's an interesting notion. I did do a video before. I was part of Midnight's Edge. It is on the After Dark channel here, though. You can find it. I'll probably even post it in the comments later on. About how the PG-13 rating has just gone to shit. So if you want to check that out, that really gets into a lot of how I feel about that. And oh yeah, I think that the system itself is fucked in general because there's too much bias on the side of the MPAA and the people who work there. And there's a great documentary, actually, after you're done checking out my video, that the documentary is mentioned in the video, and I believe the documentary is called This Film Is Not Yet Rated, or This Film Is Rated. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a really great documentary. It was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if it still is, but it really gets into the whole thing of how it works and just how ludicrous the whole fucking system is. It needs an overhaul, yes, for sure. Random game user, Tom, I'd love to join you on the gaming stream with myself and Doom. I'm sure. Just let me know when and how to get a hold of you. I'd love to join you. Let's see here. Try and catch up with some of these questions. I know you guys are asking so many. Sorry. Will Doomcock appear in episode 9? Asks Alice or Hell. We could hope, but I doubt it. Did I hear Kingdom Hearts 3 is happening? No, but I'm not really a fan either, so I wasn't really looking for that news, Joshua. So no, I have not heard that yet. Let's get one or two more questions here, and then I'll probably shut this down for now, because I'm sure we'll have some more on this later. Dead School said they will push 9 back to summer bet. They wanted 7 in the summer, and they put Nolo in summer. Yeah, they always wanted to start doing the films in summer. The whole Christmas thing wasn't initially the plan, but I think now they feel that they own the Christmas holiday, and not only that, it would kind of look stupid for them to turn around and blame the crowded summer season for Solo failing, and then turn around and put episode 9 in the summer. So I really don't see it happening. It could, but I doubt it. This film is not yet rated. Thank you, Brabin One. That's what it's called. Yes. It's an excellent documentary. Joshua Nystrand also asks, do you think Disney, Fox, Lucasfilm should go back and releasing a Star Wars film every 3 years like they used to do traditionally? Honestly, I don't have a problem so much with a new Star Wars film every year, because the universe is so vast, like Marvel, that you could do so much stuff in it. It's just Disney has this tunnel vision right now, or maybe it's Kathleen Kennedy or whoever, where they've concentrated only on certain aspects of the series, and regardless of how much people want, Knights of the Old Republic, or, a bounty hunter film, or something, it just, they're not going to listen to us because they don't see the profit in it. They don't understand how they can expand on that. And they need somebody like a Kevin Feige in there who knows how to use that universe. Maybe it's Dave Filoni. I don't know. See, I've only seen bits and pieces of the Clone Wars and Rebels. I haven't watched them all the way through yet, so I can't really comment on that. But I know a lot of people are really keen on him. Dead School also asks, what's the only thing they could do in Episode 9 to impress you? Just make the movie decent. You know, I mean, really, it's... A lot of people complained about Force Awakens being so much like A New Hope, but as if you watch the editorial video we just posted about the Solo situation on the main channel, Andre brings up the hero's journey. There's really only... I mean, there's people who have this theory that there's only like 30-some stories in the natural art of storytelling. So there's only so many ways you can tell certain stories. And in a way, George Lucas set these movies up to rhyme, and he even says this, and to be, to work together in a way that they're always going to echo each other. And I didn't have any issues with that as many as some did. Now, certain scenes, yes, were way too on the nose. Don't get me wrong. And especially as time has gone on since I've seen The Force Awakens 2 or 3 times altogether since its initial release, these things do wane on you a little bit, and you understand that. But it was setting something up. But I don't, and like I said this with Doomcock and Rob on one of the previous live shows, I have a hard time believing that what JJ had in mind and the group had in mind to set up and go forward with this wasn't what Rian Johnson did. Now, do I think they were going to just remake episode 4, 5, and 6? Basically, no, I don't think that was the plan. I think the whole plan was to set you up in a way to feel like, okay, you feel like you know where this is going to go, and it was going to go in different directions. I just don't think they were planning on subverting expectations the way that Rian Johnson did. Crimson Crunch asks, is there a possibility that Doomcock could join you with the Solo Roundtable? He did. He did join us. Andre is away, so it's just Rob, Doomcock, and myself, and that is on the way. It got pushed back because of this recent editorial with Andre being a lot more work than we thought it was going to be. But yeah, that is on the way, hopefully within the next few days here. I've actually started working on the video portion of that, but that is coming real soon, so keep an eye out for that on the main channel. So yeah, 1 or 2 more questions here, and then I'm going to shut this stream down for now, and I'm sure we might be back later or tomorrow, of course. Alistair Hell asks, what with Godzilla King of Monsters next year, then I think that's part of another question I missed. Sorry, guys. Try and get some more questions here, guys. So yeah, like Random Game User says, I could have lived with Force Awakens if The Last Jedi turned out better. Yeah, that's the whole thing. People are bringing up George Lucas. I'm not sure what they're bringing up for exactly. Now, there was a rumor going around that George might come on to help in the transition after Kennedy steps down. I don't know how much truth there is to that, so that's why we didn't really bring it up on that show. But yeah, I really don't see him getting back involved. Oh, Monkey Zor, here we go. Is there a chance J.J. Abrams will stun everybody by announcing he's stepping down from directing Episode 9? That's a big possibility. I don't see it happening, because at this point, you got to look at it from Disney's point of view, and Andre kind of alluded to this in his editorial, is that The Force Awakens was the only movie that came off without a hitch. Now, regardless of how you look at it, and just like he said in the editorial, no matter who produced it, directed it, whatever, it was gonna be a hit. But for the most part, it was well received, unlike the Last Jedi. So I think in Disney's eyes, they see he's the way to fix this. Now, my faith in JJ, I'm not a hater, but I don't love him. So I'm kind of, I know he's not real good at finishing his mystery box stuff. He likes to always leave things hanging, and that's why we think there might be some truth to that Episode 9 story leak if it has anything to do with JJ, because leaving stuff open is his MO. But yeah, let's get one more question here, guys. Sorry, it's been... I'm trying to keep up with all these messages by myself. Christian Garcia asks, is Universal still doing the Dark Universe? I hope it's dead. I don't mind newer versions. Just drop the shared universe. I couldn't care less. Honestly, last I heard, there's still possibly some life in it. I think even Mundane Matt did a video on it a little while back while about how they're still possibly looking at doing it. And we brought this up way back when the monster universe was technically one of the first shared universes in cinema. When you got to like the Versus movies and all that kind of stuff down the road, or the House of Frankenstein and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not against the shared universe, just how it's approached. They were approaching it like Marvel. When why do that? You had the template originally. You know how to do these movies. We just need them updated for today. That's it. You know, I look at movies like there's a way you could do kind of a hybrid between the classic style and the new style. I mean, even though the movie now is 30 years old, but look at something like Monster Squad. They did very good updated versions of those classic monsters without even having the copyrights to do them, because they didn't have the total rights from Universal to copy those monsters, but Universal has those rights. So do that. Give us something that looks similar to what we know. Have some fun with it. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know if it's dead or not. They're going to definitely have some major changes, that's for sure. One more question, and then we're going to... I know I keep saying that. Michael Miller asks, what should be the next major cinematic universe? I don't know. I really don't. I don't. I'm not as like close to the pulse of what the pulse is of what's popular. I'm not always necessarily with, because I'm old. So I don't know if I can really say. I would love to see the Ninja Turtles have a decent comeback, but I doubt that's going to happen. No, or I think I did. We did hear the Firestar rumor for Spider-Man: Homecoming, but we just didn't run with it. And Storm rumored for Black Panther 2. I have not heard that at all. That is news. Deadpool rumored for Doctor Strange 2. I did not hear that, but I did hear that Ryan Reynolds was talking to Kevin Feige and gang about extending his contract. So that's interesting. So take that with a grain of salt, but take it as you will as well. So yeah, Oliver Smith, Kevin Smith knows how to make a cinema. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. I think he's too humble to take it on, even if somebody did offer him something like the DC universe, but I'm not saying he'd do a bad job. Scooby-Doo universe. Didn't they already try to do Hanna-Barbera universe at one point? They were talking about it. But yeah. Okay, guys. I think that's about where I got to shut this down, because I got to get back to work on that roundtable I was talking about. So thanks for the questions, guys. Sorry I didn't get to all of them right now, but I'm sure, like I said, we'll definitely probably have another live stream later on today or tomorrow with Rob when he's around. I know I want to get Andre on here real soon. I know we're hoping to get Doomcock on real soon. I know you guys are really wanting him to join us, and that would be great. Can you guys make more jokes impressions of Amy Pascal and Tom Rothman? That's more Rob's arena. I can do Amy Pascal a little bit, but I don't know. My Amy Pascal sounds nothing like the real thing, nor does his Rothman, I guess. So, but people seem to like my Arnold, so I guess I can go out with an Arnold. How about that? Thanks for joining me, and have a great day, and thanks for listening to Midnight's Edge. They're awesome.